Shenhe is the first dedicated 5-star support that's coming to Genshin Impact, and yet again Mihoyo has created another beautiful character, and I know those hips don't lie and they're tempting you to pull for her, but before you pull, let's talk about 7 things to consider before pulling on Shenhe. If you're new to the channel, my name's Sam. I make waifu meta content, and if you enjoy my content, don't forget to like and comment on the video to boost it up, and go ahead and follow my Twitch if you're interested in live content as well. So the first thing I want to talk about Shenhe is she is a Cryo unit. Cryo units have access to melt to boost up your damage, but in this case, Shenhe is not marketed to create melt reactions, although it is possible and it is something you can do for like a meme or maybe to show off to your friends on YouTube. The main point of her kit is to boost up your cryo damage, so essentially you are going to pair her with a cryo character, or at least you should, which means you will be getting the Shattering Ice Elemental Resonance that does increase your crit rate against opponents that are frozen or affected by cryo by 15%. And since crit rate and crit damage are very heavily emphasized in late game, that 15% extra crit rate really does go a long way. So while we are on the subject of supports, Shenhe is not a generic support. Shenhe is mainly marketed towards a cryo support. There is a small part of her kit that does give a general damage boost depending if you hold or press the elemental skill. And I believe this would probably help pyro characters mainly like Yoimiya, Hu Tao, Diluc, and other pyro DPSs that you may have on your party. So she's definitely not the worst generic support, but she's definitely not the best because most of her stuff, like I said, is directed towards cryo characters. Another thing to consider before pulling Shenhe is, do you have the right weapon for her? Since her kit revolves around attack, you basically want to stack as much attack percent on her as possible if you are using a support heavy build. And unfortunately, the only attack percent spears that we have is of course her signature weapon that's coming out of the Calamity, the Wavebreaker's Fin if you were able to get that, the Lithic Spear if you were able to get that as well. And with this Lithic Spear, it's going to be pretty good on Shenhe if you pair her with leeway characters. And since Shenhe is a leeway character, she will be able to boost up that passive as well by herself. And then the only other polearm that has attack percent is this 3-star halberd. If you're just like super F2P or you just don't have any weapons at all, I don't know your account. An honorable mention is the deathmatch. The only thing about the deathmatch is it does have a low base attack, but you are able to boost up your attack percent by significant amounts just by having opponents nearby. So that's something to consider if you're kind of like a battle pass type of account. And of course, these weapons are all gacha or you pay for them. And then for the 5-star options, you do have a Primordial Jade Wing Spear, because every time you hit, you are going to increase that attack percent. But like I said, her signature weapon is going to be better for her if you're going for 5 stars at all. But this could be a substitute in case you're not able to get that weapon. And if you're like completely F2P, like I'm sorry, but the bad news is that there's really no good F2P weapons available for Shenhe. The Crescent Pite sucks. Like it does nothing for Shenhe, as a physical damage bonus substat, and it just does nothing for her. The Prototype Starglare does have energy recharge as a substat, which could help you with your elemental burst or trying to get more particles in, but it's not really good for her. Like it's not good. Does nothing to boost her support. And if we look at the Kitane Spear, or however you say it, the Cross Spear, the craftable from Inazuma, it's not really good for her as well. It has Elemental Mastery as a substat, which does nothing for like freeze teams or anything like that. Unless you're doing some kind of melting with Shenhe, but no, not really. I mean, it does increase her elemental skill damage by like a little bit, but it's not the best. So that's what I'm telling you guys, like none of these weapons. So unfortunately, there's not good F2P weapons that you can have ready for her. So that's something to consider before you're pulling for Shenhe, the weapon. Of course, if you're using her for DPS somehow, then just slap on the best DPS weapon you can. Something else to consider is, do you have the right artifact set for her? There's essentially going to be 2 builds for her. Basically, either you go all the way in your attack percent for like a support heavy build where you go like triple attack percent Goblet, attack percent Circlet, attack percent Sands, or you're gonna go for like a DPS build, which would be like Blizzard Strayer or some kind of mix of Gladiator and Blizzard Strayer. Depends on you. If you're trying to go for DPS because you're like a super waifu over meta player, then the good thing is that if you have Blizzard Strayer as a whole set, you don't really have to focus on your crit rate. You can just focus on getting as much crit damage as possible, and it's more easier said than done. But Blizzard Strayer allows you to like have less crit rate, especially if her like signature weapon is gonna have like an attack percent subset, or the main focus is trying to get attack percent in your weapons. So that's the good thing to consider. And another good thing is that if you're going for like triple attack percent, you really don't need crit rate at all. The whole purpose of your support Shenhe build is just to increase your damage of your cryo characters. So overall, what I'm trying to say is that it's not really that hard to build artifacts around your Shenhe. So it's going to be pretty easy, or decently easy. I know artifact farming is not easy at all, but it's going to be pretty decently viable or easy just to get some good decent artifacts for your Shenhe. And speaking of characters, another thing to consider before pulling is, do you have the right Cryo characters you need in order to take advantage of Shenhe the most. Because like a good rule of thumb is if you don't have Aika, if you don't have Ganyu, then there's basically like almost no point in pulling Shenhe unless it's for like her beautiful aesthetics or because you really are a waifu meta gamer and you just love her so much that you don't care about any other stuff that anyone's saying. Just like me, for example. But if I were you, like if I'm taking my waifu meta hat for a little bit, there's not really a point in pulling for Shenhe. You might as well save your primos to pull for Ganyu if you want like a Cryos, if you really want like a Cryo character. Because just like a video that I've already made, you could actually turn Ganyu into a great support character. And I'll link that on the screen so that way you can check it out for yourself if you want. And something else to consider is don't waste your primos right away. Do not pull on the banner just off of instinct. Let content creators like me and other people, let them pull for Shenhe or whoever's going to pull for Shenhe. Let them pull for her so that way they're able to figure out, is she really bad? Is she really good? Is she really niche? Is she really good? Or something like that. That way it gives you, the player, time to pull. And don't fall into the hype. Like this happened, I mean, especially in the Ito banner, right? Everyone was all hyped about Ito. Pull for her, pull for him, pull for him, pull for him. And I actually held strong. I didn't pull for Ito. It was kind of tempting because he did look crazy fun. But what I'm trying to say is, you guys, don't fall for the Shenhe hype. Even if I hype her up, don't fall for it, okay? You pull what's best for your account or what's best for you or whatever the heck you want to do with your account. I'm just telling you not to fall for the hype, okay? Let it die down, and after a week, then decide, okay, now that the hype has died down a little bit, is Shenhe really a good pull for my account? And also, Zhao is on the other banner, so if you've been waiting for him, then you pull for Zhao. I mean, Shenhe will get a rerun eventually, guys, if you can't really get her right now. Hopefully, Mihoyo will give like triple banners one day, but I doubt it. But the way these double banners are going, it's going to be frequent how these characters are going to come back, okay? So don't fall for the hype. And the last thing I want to say is, if you don't really care about anything I just said, and you are about waifu over meta, then pull for her, man. Whatever you want to do with your account, whatever you want to have fun with, just do it. At the end of the day, it's your account, it's your primos. You can do whatever you want. All I want to do was just say these things that you should consider before pulling. Anyways, don't forget to like and subscribe and comment on the video to boost it up in the algorithm. I will be pulling for Shenhe. I will be making several videos on her, how she fits in the freeze team, a C0 showcase, and more. So turn on that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of those videos. Follow me on Twitch so you can get the live content and you can see my Shenhe pulls or just my gameplay in general. I love y'all so much. And remember, waifu over meta, and I'll see y'all in the next video.